we'll just say...
Speaking of jail, Julian Assange is out. Not out. The other Julian.
Julian Assange, the two Julians. He is out, the founder of WikiLeaks. I don't know too much about the whole Julian Assange saga. I know he was locked up in England, basically a Edward Snowden type figure, which
I think he's like the first truly, he's an Edward Snowden type figure. I mean, he was behind WikiLeaks, and WikiLeaks was the whistleblower repository for basically scandalous and for outing injustices and stuff like that, and it was it was very, very effective and damaging to the sort of elite stronghold that's taken all over the world, obviously, and Julian Assange himself is Australian, which is he is. Which made it all the more difficult to catch him or to find him guilty of something. He's never been tried here or anything like that. But they kind of arrested him and detained him in England, care of Sweden, who had charged him with some bogus assault charges. And they used that as a pretext to sort of detain him. The idea being that, Sweden would partner up with. They would get him they would get him to Sweden, and then Sweden would pass him off to the United States, where he would basically be subject to some arcane espionage laws and all that kind of stuff. And that would end up being the end of him. And he was in England and has been in England now, in limbo.
Solitary confinement. Locked up for 23
hours
a day.
He was at the Ecuadorian embassy, because the Ecuadorian embassy had formally basically said we don't, he's a political dissident. We support free speech or whatever. We support his cause. This is a sort of an anti-humanitarian thing. It's a breach of international laws and stuff like that. So he hunkered down in at the embassy in England of the Ecuadorian embassy for many years, never leaving. And he was basically, they couldn't touch him for a while. But then something happened, and they were able to do a sort of I guess the Ecuadorian embassy sort of they folded or whatever. I don't know what did it, but they just bum rushed the embassy, and they took him out, against his will.
Got him.
And threw him in the grotto.
On that note, can I have Zacadella come here real quick? Julian Assange, he must have felt ecstatic when he was... ecstatic doesn't even do justice, because as you can see on Zacadelic's t-shirt right there, I have also been unjustly locked up, and I know how sweet it is to breathe free air again after walking out of that jail. And my stay was probably a touch worse than whatever Julian went through, but Julian walking out must have felt great, Leo. Yes.
Oh yeah, man. He finally.
Well, to be fair, he hasn't walked out yet.
Oh,
he just stands to not be locked up
here
forever or whatever. He's been detained indefinitely without due process and all that kind of stuff. So he's just like a political prisoner in limbo overseas.
Yeah.
But basically something came down today that more or less I guess he made a plea bargain and had to plead guilty to some sort of conspiracy in order to get to see free time.
Yeah,
nice.
But I think that just as one caveat, they opened the door. He was a sort of a canary in the coal mine. The reason, the excuse that they had to sort of break these laws. And so now that's the norm, and they've very successfully criminalized journalism in a sense.
Real journalism.
Real journalism is pretty much a crime,
Mm-hmm.
and they can do it again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a fucking thought crime. I mean,
Your experience in jail
Yeah.
in Rogersville,
Yeah.
I believe,
Of course.
and Julian Assange's
this is
experience.
traumatizing to bring it up.
Yeah. What would you say? Who had a? I mean, would you say you're just about even with Julian Assange?
I would say, yeah. And
Was
to
this because of the
degree-
solving thing? Was this the
No, the Solvang thing, they also tried to drag me to prison for that as well. This was because I pretended I was a dental hygienist, which is, in the eyes of the law, close to espionage and treason. And I went into a woman's mouth, just like, say, Edward Snowden went into the NSA databases. And
you did some digging?
I did some digging.
I'll be honest. It looked her mouth. It was terrible. Her oral hygiene was.
And what the NSA was doing to surveil its citizens was terrible as well.
Yeah.
So in that way, I see myself and Edward and Julian as parallels. And
And a lot of there are like little chips that they can put in the tooth that actually can you can get radio and everything like that. You can get listen to your iPod and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
listen to Ariel Pink's discography.